Mark Prommel, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the Design Summit. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
I wanted to start off by talking about your company, Pensa Lab. So tell me, what is this company? What do you do?
Sure. So Pensa is a design and invention firm. We do design, invention, development, engineering on a whole range of types of products for large companies like PepsiCo and Panasonic, to hardware startups of all different kinds, from very high tech to more lifestyle products like shaving, etc. So it's kind of spans the gamut. We're a tight team of designers and engineers, and really known for tackling challenges that are kind of at the crossroads of lifestyle and very consumer-facing brands, but also very technical challenges as well, because we have a pretty hardcore engineering team too.
So when you're talking tackling some of these difficult kind of crossroad challenges, can I have an example? You mentioned PepsiCo. What would be that project?
Yes, so we work with PepsiCo on their equipment and help them to think through the future of fountain drink development and vending and coolers and kind of these like stores within a store, the places that people experience their brand within all kinds of different locations. And we do everything with them, from research to design of the actual machines to engineering how the products are delivered, and all through different types of venues.
Okay, so they come to you and they say, we want to do something, and then you approach them with some ideas, or is it a very collaborative process?
It's very collaborative. They have a huge design center here in New York with a full team of designers, so we're often offsetting their team or helping them to tackle very specific challenges and kind of working together on larger programs within a program.
Okay, in comparison between, say, PepsiCo and maybe a smaller company, what would that be?
Yeah, so all different kinds. We just launched a startup called OneBlade. It's a shaving startup, onebladeshave.com, and we help them with everything from the conception of what the razor would be about to, and it's really a radically new way to think about shaving with a single blade shaver. It's basically the kind of quality of a traditional wet shave, but the kind of comfort and forgiveness of a cartridge. It's a luxury product. It's quite high end, but everything from the initial concept through all the design, engineering, development for manufacturing, finding manufacturers with them, and all the way through to production and selling of the product.
So you pretty much take over the entire process. That's what Pensa is all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, and the challenges of working within a marketplace where there are other companies doing kind of similar things, although it's a pretty big picture here what you're looking after, but give me a sense of what that is like for you.
Yeah, so we, my partners and I, came from the world of much larger design and engineering consulting firms, 100, 200, 500 person companies. Pensa is right now a 15-person company. It's actually about the size we've been for past 5 or 6 years. The company's about 10 years old. And we really wanted to be able to offer a really tight kind of all-star team of, we have about 6 designers, 5 engineers, who can tackle all kinds of different challenges, work very intimately and close with a client, kind of get right to work as opposed to, redesigning their entire company before we actually tackle the specific problem that they have. And we found it to be really what a lot of even much larger companies are looking for in a much more kind of nimble and quick responsive relationship. It's not to say that giant consulting companies can't do great work, but we've found there often were a lot of barriers to just getting going, and we wanted to try something a little more intimate.
Okay. So it's your job to kind of take companies into the future through imaging, through branding, etc. So are they kicking and screaming sometimes? What's the...
No. I mean, I think that... like I said, the range of clients that we work with is so different. It's, very seasoned large corporations that have design and development divisions already, R&D, and internal design divisions that we're working with understand the process. They understand how to work with consultants. They understand how to work with, outside people who are guiding them through a design process. But now a lot of our work also is with startups where, it's almost it's more challenging in some ways because we have to educate them, but it's also more rewarding in a lot of ways because they need to move fast. They have to make the product. There's no option to, if it starts to get too risky, we'll just kill it off and start again. So there's an intensity and a pressure about having to bring something to market that, and a passion from them that is really refreshing. So it's kind of a nice balance between those two different.
And you're working with startups, with other companies. What about throwing the lens back on Pensa itself?
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, and the DIWire is a good example of it. We try to do about once a year kind of an internal project that allows us to very publicly showcase our design process and, reveal things much faster than we can when work is very confidential with clients. Often things take years to come to market. And the DIWire is an example of one of those projects that we did where we've been doing a lot of furniture development and doing like quarter scale models of chairs where we had bent structures for legs. And if you're trying to do these chairs we're all sitting on now, quarter scale model of a 3/4 inch tube, you're talking about something very fine, roughly eighth inch diameter, and bending a lot of things by hand, trying to create repeated shapes. We use 3D printers. We've been using them for 10 years. We use laser cutters. We use a lot of rapid prototyping machines. But there's really no great solution for lines in space, even though you have planes taken care of, you have volumes taken care of. But a lot of people do things with wire. And that was the particular challenge that we were coming up against, was prototyping chair models. And so we thought in our heads it probably wouldn't be that hard to create a CNC desktop solution where I could draw a vector line in Illustrator, export it out, and have the wire fed at a certain rate and bent to a shape. So we made an initial concept for ourselves. We thought this might be an interesting tool for some other designers. And we open sourced it, made it very public, and got a lot of feedback about it. But what was interesting was people like us were a very small portion of who actually wanted to use it. And what we really found was this huge hole in the market that CNC benders exist. They're $200,000 machines that live on a factory floor that run 20,000 parts at a time. But below that, there's basically a pair of pliers is like the next option, and making hand jigs to bend by hand. And so you had really, even within the production of things like in the dental market, or even on the factory floor where they wanted to prototype 50 parts, 100 parts, they really had no solution for that because they couldn't take a machine offline that's supposed to be running 20,000 parts to run 50 prototype parts. So all of a sudden, all these markets started coming to us saying, make this product, where it really was not our intention at all to create a product. So we spent the next couple of years actually developing that product for production and creating a very different product than the one we made for ourselves. And that's the product we are now selling, and have spun off a company to a desktop prototyping company to do so.
Okay, just back to basics.
Sure.
What is DIWire?
Sure. So the DIWire is the world's first desktop CNC wire bender, and it's roughly 1 foot cube machine, can sit on your desktop, and basically allows you to draw a line in Illustrator, any kind of vector line, export it, feed in steel, aluminum, titanium, whatever you want to bend, and create that shape. So it's a very quick, immediate response, and allows you to build things very quickly and build things out of metal. So from there, create repeated shapes, create structures, create, a lot of roboticists are using them for linkages, and they need to create very, very precise repeated shapes out of wire. And so it's really a whole new solution or reinvention and a simplification of a very powerful technology that no one had access to as a much more accessible solution.
Okay, so it's a way of doing something that was done much more slowly, as you said, with pliers and a bit of wire in the marketplace today. What are the other comparisons? There's always, everybody's talking about 3D printing, of course. It's hardly new. There's a bunch of other kind of desktop applications that exist now. I saw something the other day, I can't even remember what it is. We can print out full objects. Or anyway, so how does this particular thing, fit within that other kind of more domestic marketplace that exists?
Yeah, I mean, for us and for a lot of people, it's a complementary machine. I mean, so laser cutters, CNCs for creating flat planes of material and cutting out exist. So you have planes covered, you have volumes covered by FDM 3D printing, or by laser sintering of a variety of kinds, and then you have lines, which is not really covered by anything. And so really that's what we're trying to cover. So a lot of people, might be 3D printing a volume, they might be laser cutting a flat structure, but attaching frameworks to it that are created out of structures of wire.
And so that's what it works for?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you see as the future of the product as other technologies kind of catch up, other people imitate as well?
Yeah.
We know that will happen. So where do you see your product going in the future?
Well, what we're really working on now are what we now have is a kind of general purpose machine that can do a lot of things pretty well, but we're now responding to a lot of markets that we didn't really know existed when we first started exploring selling this machine. So those markets are needing, when you start to get into like medical, dental, they need more precision.
So this can be much finer, can't it?
Yeah, more precision, much more powerful, more rigid, those kind of things where they can take 3D data that they already have and stop bending things by hand in a prototype setting.
Is it fun to play with?
It's really fun and really easy.
So how you just press a button and put the design in and press and...
Yeah, so we have our own software that we've developed, our own interface. We have the machine itself, and you have some wires. So draw a line. A lot of people are using Illustrator, but AutoCAD, whatever you're using. Export that file, SVG or DXF file, drop it in, adjust resolution if you need to, but you don't need to, and actually hit bend and run a wire through and get a part out within a matter of 15-30 seconds.
Okay, so it's kind of really transforming this particularly for the precision wire printing, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely, and really also creating new ways for people to do things in fab labs and in schools. They're buying them, and and there's an immediacy to it that's really nice. And so a lot of schools are developing these fab labs where kids are using 3D printers, but in a lot of cases, like you're having one kid wait 3 hours for a part to come out, or even half an hour, and you get one part. But in this case, you can start to say, well, a truss works like this for a bridge. So here we can, instead of building a popsicle stick bridge, let's actually bend out 5 structures and clip them together and see how the strength of a truss actually works out of steel. And so that there's an immediacy to that, and curriculums that are now being developed for it. And so it's kind of going down the educational route too, which is kind of cool.
So the education is following your product, bringing that into the education department. That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Wow, thank you so much. It's really great to speak with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.